Is it working? Okay, so I won't use this one anymore. These slides are our report for you here. They'll all be on the SWS website, and so I won't literally read them all. I'll talk about them to try to explain maybe some other things and give you some context about these results. Right? So, okay, first slide, the title page. Can please go back to the title page? Because I want to point out that this is public opinion. As of June 2009, public opinion moves from point to point. This is not the final word. It's going to change. Next slide, please. Right, this is a first-class national poll. 1,000 is the golden rule for a national poll. It's actually 4 polls grouped together. They are purposely of equal size because by being of equal size, they are equally accurate. The accuracy depends on the number of people interviewed, not the proportion of people to the area where they are. So that later, when you look at the Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, you can be assured that they are equally good. Next slide, please. Now I'll show you this is the sequence of the questions. That's part of transparency. You should know the sequence. There are 8 items in our report. Here are the first 4 items. So we're giving them to you in their exact phrasing. There's English and there's Filipino, and you'll see the Filipino also. But these first 4 items, called questions 96, 97, 98, 99, they are not asked in that order. They're asked in a random order. So there's none is particularly ahead of the other ones. This is a group of 4, which we will see again. Now, second page. These are in this order. And these 2 questions, question 101 and 102, with an asterisk, these are commissioned by StratBase, ADR. So this is new. This has not been reported before. In fact, I think we're issuing a new press release today for these 2 items, 101 and 102. 103 is also new, but that's not commissioned. Now, these all come from the SWS quarterly social weather survey. This quarterly is an operation by us on our own account. So we're responsible for how it's done, what's in it. Except, of course, that when there are commission items, we do those and we get compensated for that. But it's an ongoing, regular operation. And as you'll see, we've been doing it already for a year, and there are 4 rounds, and those 4 rounds are on our initiative and our account. That's a contribution to the discussion. Next item, please. So you will see them one by one, like this, so that you will know that there's transparency on the English and the Filipino. Please use our website because all of our reports give the questions in the English and the Filipino. If you want the non-Tagalog, you can ask us also because actually we use 5 Philippine languages to do a survey. Maybe the more important are the answers because tama and hindi tama. The answers are part of the question, you see. If there were different suggestions, they would not be the same. So there they are, one after another. We'll go over them again anyway in a moment. Question 99. Next, please. 100. Next, please. 101. 102. I'll go over them again when we see the answers. 103. And that's the last one. So let's go now to the findings. All right. Question 96. So this shows you that we've done this 4 times already. June last year, September last year, December last year, and then June again this year. Right? This whole series is on our own account. So if you just take a look at the whole series, you'll see that it's actually very, there's no surprises here. What we have is an intensification of Filipino opinion on this question. This issue is it right or not right to refer this issue on the WPS to international organizations like the UN or the ASEAN for a diplomatic and peaceful negotiation with China about these claimed territories? And the gross numbers are there. Gross, I mean, right being gross positive, and not right being gross negative, and we like to subtract one from the other. Right? That's a net. I mean, if you want one number, you use both numbers together. You don't just use one side. Use both numbers together, and that shows the intensity of the feeling. So this intensity was plus 49 a year ago, plus 43 in September, just about the same, or maybe a little lower, but then it definitely went up to plus 54 last December, and now it's at plus 66. So the intensity is increasing about the correctness of referring this issue to international organizations like the UN. Next, please. Okay, question 97 asks, is it right to strengthen the military capability of the Philippines, especially the Navy? And here you'll see very, very clearly the intensification of agreement with this proposition. Now at the gross 92% saying it's right, and net 84, when it used to be only 80% gross and 61 net. So this is not saying you want to go to war, but this is saying that you don't weaken your military capability, you strengthen it. Next, please. Question 98. The issue of leaving China alone, doing nothing with its infrastructure and military presence in the claimed territories. Now this, on the other hand, has public opinion on the other side, you know, that's wrong. That's wrong to do. And intensifying it. So that it's now 89% saying it is not right to do. But as I let me point out, repeat, this is not a new discovery. What we discovered now is that it's getting worse. It's getting stronger and stronger over time. So this thing is definitely being noticed by the Filipino people. Next one. 99. All right. This is something we just thought of this term. That's why there's only one reading. Form alliances with other countries that are ready to help us in defending our security in the West Philippine Sea. And you have 84% saying that's right. Next, please. All right. Now, this is the question 100, that has occupied people's attention, because those saying this is very important and somewhat important, that adds up to 93. That's the magic 93 that people keep on are getting impressed with. 93% say it's important that the control of the islands China's occupying in the WPS should be returned to the Philippines. 93. It was 89 6 months ago, 87 9 months ago, and also 87 a year ago. So it's not good. It's just getting more and more intense. Now it's in the 90s. That's easier to remember. Next, please. All right. This is a question directed to us by Stratbase. They give us the sense, and then we say, okay, shall we word it this way? And then they agreed, yes, that's the idea that we wanted you to test. And then approve it, and then we ran it. So this is this finding is being released in public now for the first time. We're having a media release issued right now about this thing, which will say that 87% total Filipinos think that the government should assert its right to the islands in the West Philippine Sea as stipulated in the 2016 Court of Arbitration. So this is now moving the question to the idea of taking action, more action, not just asking what's the right principle, but saying what the government should do something, and this is, so the term here is assert its right. And well, not surprisingly, since we know about the other items, yes, very, very strongly, the Philippines should assert its right. Next. Question 102, and this also is as proposed to us by our sponsor, which we then formulated and they agreed to. The government should arrest and prosecute Chinese fishermen causing the destruction of marine resources in the West Philippine Sea, to which we have 87% that agree, overwhelmingly, of course. So this is now a proposition of taking some action. Right? This is not saying the government should go to war, but this is saying the government should arrest and prosecute these people. So this is new, and this is, as I said, being released now. And lastly, how serious is the government in protecting the safety of Filipino fishermen in the West Philippine Sea against foreign vessels that threaten their security? Well, this one has 71% saying the government is serious. 35 saying it's very serious, and 36 saying somewhat. So this is a plus 55 net feeling. That's generally that's strong enough. The government hasn't lost, I would say, all confidence that it's being protected. And this is our own item, right? So I'm distinguishing between what we are responsible for asking and what we are not directly responsible for asking, right? So of this group of 8 items, we, SWS, are responsible for 6 of those items. What's the next item there? I think we're now summarizing, right? This is the general result. There's intense opposition, and it's a growing intensity of opposition to the Chinese incursion in the West Philippine Sea. It's important to regain control, right? Next, it's wrong to do nothing. And these are very, very large proportions in opinion polling. Usually, if you reach 80%, we say it's unanimous already. Next. Another over 90%. Let's strengthen our military capability, especially the Navy. Next. Let's bring the issue to international organizations like the UN or ASEAN for a diplomatic and peaceful negotiation with China. Next. It's right to form alliances with other countries that are ready to help in defending our security in the West Philippine Sea. We should assert, the government should assert its right. This is not for the government, to the islands in the West Philippine Sea. That's Strat-based ADR question. 87% say the government should arrest and prosecute Filipino fishermen who destroy marine resources in the West Philippine Sea. That's ADR question. And finally, the 71% who say the government is serious in protecting the safety of the Filipino fishermen in the West Philippine Sea. The period of the interviews was June 22 to 26. Right? This is already after the June 9 incident of damaging the Filipino fishermen's boat. So that's definitely, it's a clear context. Right? We will have other things that we can say, and we'll be releasing also as context. But we've already learned from experience that you don't put out so many things at one and the same time, or else the media will deep select whatever they like and ignore everything else. Right? We find it's more effective to release your findings, little by little and deliberately, in order to get more effect. But if you just look at what we release over the future, I hope you will see that we haven't left anything out here that weakens our position. Actually, there's one more thing that will strengthen this view further, and that's the trust in China. Just wait until you see what has happened to the trust of China as of June and compare it to the former trust in China. Right? So I think you can probably imagine what direction it's going to go, but I'm not going to scoop ourselves by saying it right now and letting something else go into the media, because that won't help our position. I think I've, in fact, not even used up my time. So, if you'll allow me, I'll ad-lib a little bit. We know the feelings of Filipinos about the West Philippine Sea. But we don't know the feelings of Chinese about the West Philippine Sea, right? Because China is a country that's really afraid to get opinion polls of its own people on matters. I know this professionally because we're part of international survey networks, and we know the restrictions on opinion polling in China. Actually, I think China has been playing safe already for a long time. This is me talking. This is not SWS. It's not an official position. China has been playing safe for a long time because it's not telling the Filipino people the true situation about the West Philippine Sea. It's been peddling the greatest fake news in the world by telling its people, and this is what they're taught in school. They're taught in school from little children yet about the 9-dash line, and that this is all Chinese. It's going to take a long time to teach them the truth. And can you imagine telling this to 1.6 billion people for the past 50 years? Talk about fake news, fake reporting, and just try to see whether there'll be any opinion poll in China to try to see what the Chinese people think about it. To ask the Chinese people what they know about the West Philippine Sea. Because a lot of them will say, well, it's called China Sea. That means it's ours. That's probably what they will say. Huh? They're not allowed to obtain the truth. And that's actually our biggest asset as a free people, as a free democratic people, that we can find the truth and we can decide for ourselves what's true. In China, if you try to do a poll, including ordinary market research polls, your questionnaires will be inspected. And if they find a single question there that deals with politics, your whole questionnaire could be banned. And that means the livelihood of market researchers in China. And you shouldn't do that because kawawa naman sila. They're only asking about toothpaste. Kung maglagay kayo ng isang tanong dun tungkol sa politics, wala na. You know, you will be banned. Our asset is the truth. Our asset is telling our people, trusting our people with the truth and being able to ask them questions. The Chinese government does not dare to tell their people the whole truth about the South China Sea. Because they know that they'll start asking questions, say, how come this international tribunal, came up with these results? How come China did not try to defend itself in the tribunal? All of those things will convince anybody. And why not the Chinese people? They're not stupid about the justice of our position over here. But China is very afraid of doing this. Research is not free in China. So just note that, because if you ask ordinary Chinese people on the street what they think, they will give you the result of 50 years of indoctrination and false history about the South China Sea. It will take a long, long time to disabuse them of these things, but I would be hopeful, that when all the truth is out, even the Chinese people will themselves say, what are we doing there at all? This is bullying, imperialism. This is not what we should be proud of. So ayun, nakalagay din ako ng aking konting position over there. I don't mind to be voted on that, by the way, but that's me, personally, and that's not my institution. All right? And I'll defend that as a principle anytime. Maraming pong salamat.